On April 3rd, 1973, Martin Cooper made the first cell phone call ever from the streets of New York, and suddenly, the world got a whole lot smaller. Cell phones continued to develop and get more portable until in 2007, a shift happened.
And we are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
We didn't know it then, but a huge problem arose. See, the tool in our pockets stopped being a tool and started being a distraction. Relationships looked different. Every family moment was put online. Mental health as a whole declined. Depression, anxiety, loneliness. Social media fueled the fire. We have the whole world in our pocket, and it's eating us up. This is the Mudita Kompakt. It's meant to help you kick the addiction while keeping the features that you need. Now, I waited for months to get to shoot this phone, and honestly, now that I have it in my hands, it's better than I thought it would be. They sent this to me, but objectively, this is my favorite phone and the one I use every day. Let me explain why. Let's start with the key points. It's got an e-ink screen, like a Kindle, a 6-day battery life, a bunch of built-in apps, a way to sideload more if you need, but it is a process, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, NFC, and I think it just looks cool. So let's take a look. We'll cover some of the key things, like the hardware of the phone, what texting and calling are like, the camera quality, software, and we'll run through the apps. And by the end, you should have a pretty good overview of what this phone is like and if it's right for you. Let's start with the hardware. Now, on the front side here, you've got 3 buttons. Your back button, home button, and the control center, where you can control things like settings, flashlight, screen brightness, all of that. On the side, you've got your volume up and down, as well as the power button, which also acts as a fingerprint scanner. So if I just touch it with my finger, I'm into the phone, which is very cool. On the back, you've got your flashlight right there, and camera. It's an 8-megapixel camera. So you're not getting the same quality that you might with the latest Samsung phone, but you do have a camera on an e-ink phone, which I think is incredibly cool. On the other side here, you've got where you put in your SIM card and your micro SD. And then you've got this super offline plus mode, which does a hardware cutoff of phone service and camera, so there's no tracking, you're completely off-grid. It essentially turns it into an off-grid device, which I think is really cool. On the bottom here, you've got USB-C and your speaker and microphone. And then up top, you've got a nice headphone jack. This does have Bluetooth, but it's also nice to have auxiliary in for headphones or plugging directly into your car. Let's talk about texting, which for me was an issue on some other e-ink phones. I actually found it so frustrating I didn't respond to some of my friends. I apologize. Texting on this is actually a really nice experience. So I can hit the phone message and I will text my wife here. It's very responsive, snappy, sends well, receives well. For texting, it's important to mention you can send and receive photos, which is phenomenal. And group texting, at the moment, you can't send a group text out, but you can receive and respond to them. Like up here, I had a group text and I responded. There was even a photo in there. So that works normally. And the way I understand it, group texting sending out is a feature that they're considering adding. And then there's also calling. I didn't tell her I was going to call her for this, but some of the best things are unscripted.
Hey, what's up?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm just saying hello and telling you I miss you because we're testing out the phone quality of the phone. How's the park?
Good. I'm
Good.
gonna need my hand in a minute.
Okay, you use that hand. I love you.
Okay. Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Sounds really clear, clean, not broken up at all on the speakerphone. The camera is really interesting because, again, you don't often get a camera on an e-ink phone like this. So if we open up our camera, and I'll move something over here that we can actually take a picture of, you'll see that the screen refreshes on the ink and we see a black and white image of what we're taking a photo of. Now, this is not going to be black and white when we send the photo as a text, which, by the way, you can send and receive photos, or when we upload it to the computer. So, as an example, I'm going to take a photo of you, and then I'll show that on the screen now. It does not take video, but it does have a gallery where we can see all the photos we've taken, again, in black and white. We can even zoom into it a little bit, which for e-ink is pretty amazing. And as someone with a wife and kids who want to capture memories but still be disconnected, this is a phenomenal option. Let's take a look at all of the apps and how they work. Now, keep in mind, this phone isn't even out yet. So I think it's got all the features it needs, but if you're thinking something might be missing, it's probably coming in an update. Let's get to all of our apps. We can either click the app button or slide our finger over. We'll start with the calculator, which is really snappy and does one thing I actually love. If we add here and then multiply, I actually don't need to hit the enter button. It updates as I type, which is just a neat, handy little feature. Moving into the calendar. The calendar is really clean, makes a lot of sense. You can click on days and see the whole day right there. Or you can also click the calendar button back and forth to see the day or the month. You can add events, you can make them recurring and add reminders and even notes about the event. Discard those changes. Or you can search for an event. That's all really handy. The camera we already looked at. Let's look at chess so you can see my losing game of chess. Now here you can change the difficulty of your chess game from beginner to expert and play the computer and see if you can win. I, so far, cannot, but it works really well. The computer responds instantaneously. It's actually a lot of fun. Alright, let's take a look at the e-reader. The e-reader here, I've uploaded some books and it honestly looks and works great. It's a lot of fun. I'll show you the list of books here. It opens quickly and is easy to navigate. You can change the size of the font as well. If something's too small, you can bring it up to medium or large. The only thing you can't do yet is highlight and take notes. Moving forward, let's take a look at the maps, which again, for an e-ink screen, are incredibly responsive. You can move around a map, zoom in and out, see key points and things, and if you click one or hold it down, well, this even tells me when there's a stoplight. But there's plenty of information about parks, addresses, distance from where I currently am, and it's really handy. After the maps, you have the meditation app. Now, I'm not a big meditator, but I do pray, and so I use this as a prayer app. You can set the default time or move it up and down in increments of 5 minutes. You can choose if there's a chime every so often, and then it also gives you some statistics about how much you've meditated or prayed in the last 7 days, 30 days, or year. This doesn't need to be a meditation app. You can use it for any kind of focus if you want to use it as a work timer, a prayer or Bible timer like I do. It's just a countdown timer but it's really clean, really pleasant, and really handy. Next, we have our music app. This phone comes with 32 gigabytes of space. It's also got a slot for a micro SD card. So I stuck another 32 gigabytes in there, and I've uploaded about 1,300 songs along with my ebooks. Now, those 1,300 songs have barely scratched the surface of how much space is available. So we've got a whole bunch of songs here. At the moment, there's no way to search for a specific song or artist. You just have a list of all of your songs. You can play them one after the other. They're in alphabetical order, or you can shuffle them. You could also change the speed of your song from 0.75 up to 2 times speed. Let's listen to what it sounds like. The thing I really like is that you can play music while doing other apps, so I've listened to music and opened an ebook, and that's really pleasant. Next is the Notes app. Now, Notes, you're really just texting yourself, like any phone, but Notes are pretty clever here. I'm going to use 2 hands so I can type as quickly as I can. Well, I typed this a note. I actually forgot to type the word is, but I can thankfully go back and type it in. This is a note. Now, the nice features here are that unlike the e-reader, we can hold down and get some options like copy and paste, cut, or select all. So I'll select all. I'm going to cut it, then paste it right back. So notes are really handy. The only limitation right now is that notes have probably 2 to 3 lines of space available, at which point they just stop typing and working. This is a feature that I'm not sure about the future of, but I have to assume that Mudita will give us longer notes when the phone does release. Now, there are a few more apps. We've got the voice recorder right here, which is really simple. We have a list of our recordings, or we just tap the button, and it starts counting up. Now, I can say really simply, this is a voice recording. I'm done with it. And let's listen to it. We can also speed up or slow these down. Now, I can say really simply, this is a voice recording. Look at this. You got to get onto a video and watch me, listen to me, talk about the phone while I talk about the phone. There are a couple more apps here that I've actually removed the icons for, and that's the alarm and the weather. Now, the reason I removed those apps is because they're really easy to get to without the app icon, so I was keeping it clean. For the alarm here, we can actually get there by just tapping the clock. Then we can add alarms that repeat, we can name them, and they have some lovely sounds included. The weather we can use an app for, or we can hit our control center, which is a great segue into the control center. The control center controls a lot about the phone, including the volume, the screen brightness. It does have a backlight, or you can set it to adapt to its environment automatically. We have our weather here in the top right, so it'll give you hour by hour or a whole 7-day forecast. We've also got our Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, NFC, airplane mode, and more settings, as well as our flashlight. Tap the top of the flashlight button and both will turn on, or we can individually choose a warm flashlight and a cool flashlight. Let's turn the phone around and take a look at all of these here. This is both flashlights. This is the cool flashlight. And this is the warm flashlight, which can be really nice for mornings or late nights to not wake you back up. The settings here, we don't have time to go through all of them, but they're actually very normal phone settings, just about what apps we're showing or not showing on the main screen. Layout, storage, sound, display, battery, security, where you can add and remove a code or fingerprints. There's a lot there. And again, a ton of features for a phone that's disconnected and doesn't have the internet. Now, when it comes to other apps, Mudita's found the perfect balance of being able to add apps, but not a ton of apps, but also giving the option, but also it's difficult. So you can sideload certain apps like WhatsApp or Signal. I will be sideloading some payment apps like my bank or Venmo. I find really useful when I'm out of the house. But you need to know how to sideload apps, and you can't do it right from your phone, which means if you don't want any extra apps, you don't need them. In fact, to get them on there, you need to know a little bit of knowledge to actually make that happen. So if you're concerned about, oh, this is a phone that I could turn into a smartphone, you'd really have to try to do that. But if you do want to try and put in the work, you can get a couple other key apps on there. We're not talking about, big fancy games, but some other apps that are important for communication, money, banking, things like that. So what do I personally think of this phone? I think this is the perfect blend of disconnection while still feeling like I'm safe for my family. With some other phones in this same vein, I didn't have access to banking. Texting was difficult. Sometimes it would just switch itself to be on silent mode. And so with something like this, I feel a little bit more secure in being reachable. I love that I can focus on life and still have other tools as well, adding in something like a Bible to read when I'm on the go. The camera is key. I never knew how much I would miss a camera, but now I have one again, and that's really nice to be able to snap a shot and send it, even if it's not a fast action shot or the highest quality. Something I want to remember, either a memory or something on a piece of paper, is really nice. And then this side button here, just to be totally off-grid, disconnected that easily, and then flick it back on and get all the backlog of texts that I missed, is really nice. So if we're thinking through more specific use cases, right? You already know if you could use this or not, but what would this be good for? Well, I think on road trips, it would be amazing. You can play your music with Bluetooth. You have offline maps, so you never have to worry about losing signal. You can download maps from different regions. This would also be great for a honeymoon, right? To just disconnect, not receive any texts, and flick it back on when you want to check up, maybe at the end of the day or the whole end of the trip, if that's your thing. And you can still take photos, maps, and all of that. This could also be great on camping trips. Just that crazy long battery and the offline maps would be really useful when you're up in the mountains for multiple days. You don't have a way to charge your phone, but you still need to navigate. If you're interested in this phone, you can get it down in the description. There's a link right there, and you can also use my name, JacobLamb15, to get 15% off the phone, which I think is really cool. Affiliate links help a lot, and they don't cost a cent extra to use. They only tell Mudita people are visiting you from this video. But I highly recommend it. Like I said, it's my new daily phone, and could be yours as well. See you in the next video.